So this is Linnea Magnuson, and I call to order this meeting of the City of St. Louis Soldiers Memorial Commission. Today is May 16th, 2024, and it is 3:07 p.m. And again, my name is Linnea Magnuson, and I chair the commission. And we're going to proceed according to the agenda. And the first thing on the agenda is the roll call of commissioners, and we'll do that in alphabetical order. So first is Commissioner Barget. I think she's muted. Are you muted, Commissioner Barget? Yes. Do I unmute you guys? No, you can unmute yourself, right? Yeah. Oh, Corrine, you're here.
Can you hear me?
Yep, sure can.
There's something new about this Zoom and I can't.
I had that last time we met.
So here I am. I'm here.
Okay. The next one is Commissioner Dunlap. He's here. Here. Okay, Commissioner Fletcher, not here today. Commissioner Hansis.
Here.
Yep. And I am here, and Bruce Yampolsky is not here. So we have four of us, so we have a quorum. So let me do the share screen here, and I can pull up the agenda in that for us. There we go. Just, oh, what did I do here? Is this what I'm doing here? Oh, what do? I did something wrong here. 1 second here. Stop share. Let me go back 1 second. I pushed the wrong button here. Here. Do this again one more time. Now I do it. Now I do this. And then I do. Is it not doing okay? Screen sharing. Why is this coming up here? Here we go. The screen mode. There we go. So the first thing we could do is if maybe Judith, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Certainly. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Now let's see, let me go down here. And here is the agenda we have. So the next thing on the agenda is the approval of the March 21st, 2024 Soldiers Memorial Commission meeting minutes. And I sent this out. I have the whole document here with that attachment that Mark so kindly sent me. And I just put that on part of the minutes because basically, well, that's what you talked about the whole time last meeting. So here is the meeting minutes for Thursday, March 21st, if we want to read through them and approve them. And I can go through all of Mark's attachment if you'd like me to. Or addendum, I should say.
Move to approve.
Okay, do I have a second? Okay, second. All those in favor of approving the Thursday, March 21st, 2024 meeting minutes for the Soldiers Memorial Commission, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? No. Any abstentions? No. Okay. Let's go back to, whoops, went the wrong way. All right, so then Mark, I know you've got a lot of exciting things for Memorial Day to tell us about.
Right.
Today for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, you want me to stop sharing here?
Nope, you're fine.
Okay.
Or either way, I don't need to share right now. I did have a video I was going to try to show, which I probably won't be able to figure out how to do, but I thought I'd try.
Let me stop sharing. That way it might happen better.
Okay. I have I'll get to it in a little bit. It was about the Ghost Army. Wanted to show that, give you a better idea of that exhibit. But I'll start operations and facility. Kate's in the interview process. I don't know if you remember Ella, but she left us probably a couple months now. So Kate's close to making a hiring for that assistant collections manager position, which will be good. We also lost, I think this happened after our last meeting, Lydia Prebish. She was our educator. She moved over to the philanthropy department at the History Museum. She's the new membership coordinator. So we have that educator position vacant still, and have not started the hiring process for that yet. But other than that, that's major operational notes. Facility, nothing to really report there. Fountains are back on and looking good again, so that's nice. I always like when I get the fountains back on.
Yeah.
Exhibits, Vietnam at War and at Home. Its final day is hard to believe, but it's Monday, May 27th, Memorial Day, which is just 11 days from now. That's quite incredible. So if you have people who have not seen that, please encourage them to stop procrastinating, because they're going to be upset when it's gone and ask, why can't I see it anymore? But so that's coming to an end. And then on September 25th, that'll be the opening of our next exhibit in that lower level. It's an exhibit called Ghost Army, the Con Artists of World War II. It's a traveling exhibit from the World War II Museum, which I'm excited about that because the World War II Museum has a great reputation. So I think that's going to help boost soldiers, our own prestige a little bit as well, to be working with them, which is pretty nice. But let me try to show this video and see if I can get this to work.
Mark, what was the date again?
It'll open on September 25th.
25th.
And on the 24th, there'll be a premiere for the exhibit. So the VIPs, which includes all of you, will be invited to that. We're going to do a brunch approach to that. So it'll be that morning, Tuesday, the 24th, September 24th. Where did my... There it is. Can you guys see that? Yeah. Okay, now the trick is whether or not you're going to be able to hear it. I think this is where things fall apart. Let me try.
In Germany, they call the new order
Can you hear it? Yeah. Oh, good. Look at that.
National Socialism or Nazism.
It's about 4 minutes long.
During World War II, the United States established a top secret unit to deceive and confuse the enemy. The Army conducted a massive recruitment effort targeting art school students to outfit this unconventional unit. Nicknamed the Ghost Army, they used their talent to create a traveling roadshow of deception to fool and confuse the enemy forces. The 23rd Headquarters Special Troops was created and consisted of 1,100 artists, designers, engineers, radio operators, truck drivers, and actors. The 23rd divided into 4 areas. The camouflage engineers deployed life-size inflatable vehicles, including tanks, trucks, aircraft, and artillery. The second element was a signal company that mimicked Morse code radio operations. Each operator was skilled in recreating the style and tone of different radio operators from specific Army units.
Every sound that is part of the bridge building operation is picked up by this microphone, carried through this cable, and recorded inside this sound recording truck on this turntable, exactly the way a phonograph record is made.
The third element was sonic deception. Sound engineers used pre-recorded mechanized sound to create the atmosphere of an incoming military unit. The final area was a troupe of actors skilled at impersonating different units around town, openly talking about military operations and personnel. The 23rd completed battlefield deceptions between 1944 and 1945, starting on D-Day through the Battle of the Bulge. The Ghost Army's most successful mission was Operation Bierson, from March 18th to March 24th, 1945. Their mission was to simulate the Army's 30th and 79th Infantry Divisions, distracting the German Army from the real infantry crossing just to the south. The Ghost Army used 600 inflatable vehicles, fake unit patches, recordings of tank sounds, and NCOs yelling at troops.
What? No general? And no armored division?
The deception began with fake convoys around Houston, radio broadcasts, and unsecure communications, giving the impression a major unit was on the move. Once in position, engineers laid down heavy smoke screens while audio engineers blasted sounds of trucks rolling in and heavy construction.
This one protected the sound of tanks going up. This one protected tanks going down.
The Ghost Army kept up the illusion by setting off flash canisters to simulate artillery fire as a way to bait the Germans into firing on their position. Operation Viersen was an overwhelming success. The German army took the bait and began to converge on the 23rd's position. The actual infantry divisions crossed the Rhine 9 miles south and engaged a disorganized German unit, easily overwhelming them. Army brass concluded the deception saved numerous American lives as they made 1,100 Ghost Army soldiers seem like 30,000. The history of the Ghost Army was kept secret for more than 50 years until it was declassified in 1996. On February 1st, 2022, President Joe Biden awarded the Congressional Gold Medal to the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops. Their use of innovative tactics during World War II saved lives and significantly contributed to the defeat of the Axis powers.
All right. Let's see. All right, that worked.
Mark,
Yeah.
who was the general over that?
I don't know.
Somebody said it was Patton, but I don't. If
No.
so, he must have been pretty unhappy.
They yeah, it's really interesting. I have a book that I've started reading, and there's a good documentary on it as well. But they basically were not assigned. I don't think they were in either of the major armies. So they did a lot of impersonation. And the thing that I kind of forgot about was that usually, like, as the Germans retreated deeper into Europe, it was very common for them to leave individuals in the towns, and that's how they picked up a lot of intelligence information. And so they showed that little scene there where they were in the bar. So that was one thing the Ghost Army would do, is they would put on patches of actual units that the Germans expected to be in that area. Then they would go into the bar and they'd say, hey, and they'd start just spewing all this false information, which then would get reported back to the German headquarters by the Germans left behind. But it's really just it's really a fun history, and the book talks about how it was all new, and then, so there was no textbook, there was no, they were making it up as they went along, and they had all these kind of goofy questions. They were the younger enlisted guys, they were scared about, am I going to get in trouble for impersonating a general officer? Because that's clearly against Army regulation. You can't do that, right? And then they couldn't talk about what they were doing either. So if they were asked by other officers of other units, like, what are you doing or what's going on, they basically had to just ignore that officer. So they were, tell them, well, I can't tell you what we're doing. And it was so secret. And like you saw in the video, it was all classified until like 97, I think, when it was released. So
I don't remember hearing about it until late.
Yeah, and these guys were, did an incredible job of keeping their lips sealed and not talking about what they were doing. And they had they had challenges with, because basically what they would do is they would impersonate a unit who the Germans expected to be there, and then when that usually what would happen, then the real unit would show up. So then they had to figure out how to swap out the fake Ghost Army with the real unit, because if the Germans saw them, picking up these inflatable tanks and walking off with them, the whole cover would have been blown. And they it would have not worked after that. And so it's going to be a fun exhibit, I think. And so we're excited to, we're sad to see Vietnam closing because it's been, you know, it's meant so much for Soldiers Memorial, and it's helped a lot with attendance, and it's such an important story. But we are excited to get bring in the this Ghost Army exhibit, and it helps us. You know, we have such a small staff dedicated exclusively to Soldiers Memorial.
Yeah.
Bringing in the traveling exhibit helps. So Mike,
Well, and Mike
can do more
should
of those
feel,
things.
I know Mike feels really proud, and he should. Because what it took to put that together, you know, how often can we put that much effort into something for such a long period of time because of the limited staff? But the time, talent, patience, support system, amazing to get that done.
Yeah, yeah.
I
think-
actually had a question back on the Ghost Army. We can jump back. How much did they collaborate with like the British? Who are
Oh,
doing,
it's
I
interesting
think a lot
because
of the same thing in the French too, perhaps.
they,
but
yeah, we didn't basically, you know,
I wondered about
and
that.
they,
Yeah.
you know, and I think the U.S. Army took that, or the U.S. military took that position in, I think, both world wars, where we tried to maintain as much autonomy as possible while being allies, but also, you know, controlling our own and making our own decisions, basically. And so, yeah, they did not collaborate with the
Yeah, like I
British,
said,
who were doing similar stuff. The book I was reading said that the British were using more of like steel and wood structures as instead of these inflatables. And they, you know, this was obviously, there's bias, but our Ghost Army thought that our inflatables were much superior to what the British had come up with.
Little bias there.
Yeah, you know, they said that they were lighter, they were easier to move, easier to set up, you know, all these advantages. So that fueled that idea that we don't really want to collaborate with them because we're doing it better, right? And so we don't.
And just a side note, I was just in Belgium the end of last month, and we were in Arnhem, and there was a memorial there to General George Marshall, who was the author, the inventor of the Marshall Plan that literally saved Europe, including Germany, after World War II. And it's the most, I should send you a picture of that, anybody who wants it, but it's the strangest looking memorial I ever saw. And yeah, if anybody wants it, let me know, and
Okay.
I'll send you a copy of that.
I was
Photo
over
of it.
there. I was over there too, Judith. Close to the same time, I think.
Oh,
Yeah, I was there. Now I'm off agenda, but let me check my dates here. We
End
were
of April.
the 20th through the 30th of April.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was there just right at that same time.
that's funny. Yeah.
Did you see that? Did you see that memorial?
No, we were in. We spent our first couple of days in Liège, and then we were in Amsterdam for most of our.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry to take this off.
No,
I was just shocked that we were there at the same time.
I'm sure I just barely missed you because we came back on the 2nd.
Okay. All right. And then other exhibit stuff that's happening. We are doing a few rotations, what we call rotations, which is the removing and replacing of artifacts in the core galleries throughout the end of the year. So some of that's happening this summer and on. I think one of the cases is the Rocky Sickman case. There's some new items going into that case and some other ones coming out. And then, of course, the Vietnam portion of the core galleries right now is empty, basically, because those artifacts are down in the Vietnam exhibit. So when that closes, we'll be working on that exhibition case as well in the main gallery. Moving on to programs and events, you know, we really have made this pretty heavy shift towards establishing annual or recurring events. And since March 21st, the last time we met, we held the National Vietnam War Veterans Day breakfast. We had approximately 70 attendees there, basically filled the assembly hall. So that was, I would say, successful, and contacted soon thereafter by Honor Flight and said that they want to get this, because we'll be doing this every year. They want to get it out to their people and broadcast it through their network. So we increase the attendance to that. So should be even bigger next year. Then this one kind of caught me a little flat-footed, but the Go St. Louis Marathon was actually routed down Chestnut Street, which hadn't happened before. At least the half marathon and the 10K went right between us and the Court of Honor. And then the marathon came down 14th Street and took a right onto Chestnut, so right on our corner there. So we just kind of bought into that, and we partnered with Greater St. Louis Inc. To set up a sign making station out front. And then the U.S. Army sent their rock ensemble up, and so they played for the runners during the marathon from the Steps of Soldiers. So that was pretty cool. And Jose, our videographer, he got some video of that. And so I don't know. Seems like they tend to move that marathon around a lot. I'm not quite sure why, but it seems like it takes some different routes. But if they do it again here at Soldiers next year, I think we're just going to keep trying to benefit from it and see, you know, and raise awareness. It's similar. They also routed the Biz Dash down Chestnut Street, right between us and the Court of Honor as well. So that's another thing. I think next year we'll probably put out the flags and you know, dress up the place a little bit and get some more attention that way. So so good things happening there. And then just yesterday, Molly coordinated a rental with the VA. They had their 78th annual VA Veteran Services National. It's a mouthful. But VA Veteran Services National Advisory Committee meeting and conference. So the National VA has been in St. Louis all week. They brought, I think, around 100 people, Molly, here last night. So they had dinner in the assembly hall, and then they visited all the exhibits. So that was another really nice event for us. And then we just finished the last shuttle from the county libraries on Wednesday, and that went really well. Those have gained momentum as they've gone along. And so we'll do those again for Ghost Army. I'm quite sure that the library will be interested in partnering with that. And then, so that's all the stuff that's happened recently. Upcoming, of course, Memorial Day, May 27th. Molly and her intern helped secure the jazz ensemble of the U.S. Army Band. So they'll be coming up from Fort Leonard Wood, playing during the seating, the national anthem, and then the taps as well. We'll be laying wreaths at all 6 of the memorials. That includes the American Legion Memorial across the street. So we bought those. Got the yellow gold carnations will be available again for individuals to lay at each of the memorials of their choice. We will be giving tours of the exhibits and the outdoor spaces following the ceremony. Mike's going to make some comments about the closing of the exhibit, what the exhibit has meant, the impact that he's seen and had, the importance of understanding that history. So that'll be kind of not really a keynote, but kind of the keynote address. The mayor has been invited and asked to make remarks, and the chair, Sandra Moore, the chair of the Board of Trustees for the Historical Society as well. So that should be a nice event. Looking forward to that. We're gonna put I think we're gonna put the bunting around the top of the building again, so it should look nice for Memorial Day. And then Pride Fest, just met with that organizer, Jordan Braxton, a couple weeks ago. They'll be doing the wreath laying again, 11 a.m. on Saturday morning. That's an annual event. They do most of the heavy lifting on that. They find the speaker and they buy the wreath, but we partner on that. And then both Saturday and Sunday, we're showing a film called, documentary called The Strange History of Don't Ask, Don't Tell. That'll be up in the Assembly Hall. And then we'll have our, what we call the chill room set up. Those are now a room that's on the end of the hallway there, not the Assembly Hall, but the other end of the hallway, with some non-alcoholic drinks and some snacks for veterans, active military, and members of the Historical Society. So that should be a good event. It's, again, another thing that we're trying to build momentum with. We did this last year, it worked pretty well. We learned a few things, going to do a little bit better this year. And then the other big event, this will happen right after our next commission meeting. The U.S. Grant Symposium will be here, and we've taken on all of that now. The Humanities Council has stepped away from that. It wasn't a program that they were interested in running anymore, but it's been successful here. So we wanted to keep it going. So we have Senator Roy Blunt will be the keynote speaker. He's kind of an interesting guy. I learned more about him, but he was responsible for sponsoring the legislation that got Grant his 6th General Star. So he has this kind of passion for Grant. He's the president of the State Historical Society of Missouri as well. And I think he was a history teacher, I think at the high school level before he got into politics and the rest of it. So he does have some pretty good Grant and history credentials.
Mark, what's the date for that?
That's Friday, July 26th.
Thank you.
And then next section here about the collection. This one I'm really excited about. I kind of get a little geeky about this, but we have the Space Force uniform of John Paul Byrne in the collection now. That came into the collection. So we met his mother, who she's the education coordinator or manager for the symphony orchestra. And when we did the Righting a Wrong exhibit, we partnered with the symphony orchestra and met her and learned that her son, John Paul, had attended the Air Force Academy and graduated and was commissioned into the Space Force. So we were able to meet John Paul and then established a relationship with him, and got his, I think it's his first lieutenant's uniform in the collection now. But that's pretty cool. We love the story of these firsts. I'm almost certain, I don't think we have 100% verified this, but he's the first Space Force officer commissioned from the Academy from St. Louis. So that's kind of a neat little historical tidbit, I guess. And we told them that we need to keep track of him and keep the relationship going. So when he's a 4-star general, we can get all of his stuff then too. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, that was pretty fun. So that's all I have for the report. But things are going well. These annual recurring events seem to be working well. They meet our capacity well, and we are very confident that they'll bring in a sizable audience, which is a really nice thing. So going pretty good. But I will close there, but obviously take any questions or.
Does anybody have any questions for Mark? Sounds great to me.
Thanks, Linnea.
Well, if there's no questions, then I guess I can call for any new business. New business? Okay. Oops, Judith, I think you're muted.
I wanted to ask, what kind of progress has been made on Veterans Day. And are we doing anything for Flag Day?
We don't have anything planned for Flag Day. I talked to Christopher Schwartz about that, and it basically had kind of jointly made that decision. But it falls, I think, let's see, this week. It's June 14th, so it falls on a Friday. So we talked about next year. I think it's going to fall on a Saturday. And then Chris said, he thinks we should do an event then as well.
So we're not going to do the flag
No,
burying ceremony?
yeah.
I
No,
wonder why he decided that. I'll ask him.
yeah. I think maybe a good question for the Legion, and just,
Right.
yeah. I mean, we certainly can do it here. I can't promise an audience, but I would like to, we're in 2027, we open the next in-house exhibit that Mike's working on, which is going to look at flags. And that's actually going to open on Flag Day of 2027. So I would like to get something going. I think, part of the conversation with Chris is it's a little tough because it's right on the heels of Memorial Day. So that was part of the conversation. So I don't know, but I think internally, I think that, yeah, it would be a good conversation to have, and I'd love to develop something for Flag Day. And so, yeah. But nothing's planned for this year.
I don't know that we've ever really had much of an audience. I can remember
Yeah.
being there one year when passersby were coming to visit the museum. We enlisted some of them to help carry the flags.
Carry the flags.
They were excited about it.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Yeah, talk to Chris about it.
Yeah, and Veterans Day,
Veterans Day,
preliminary stuff.
yeah, I think the only thing that we've done so far was that email to you, Judith, about that Jack Jackson that Cassie had sent me about him being a potential keynoter and Grand Marshal. I looked at his stuff. I hadn't heard of him before. He certainly looked like a good candidate for that that type of event, but I haven't made much headway on other planning for that. But that'll kick into high gear as soon as Memorial Day is over.
Well, the MAC's first planning meeting is next week, Tuesday.
Okay.
And so I have already spoken with General Beckett about it. And so it's going to come on then, but I'm thinking that our chairman already has something else in mind, but we'll see.
Okay.
And I will definitely keep you posted, because if you want to continue with the tradition of where we find a BR speaker to also
Right.
invite them.
I mean, that's worked great for
Do that. Okay.
It's worked great for us. I can tell you that. That's always been a big load off of my mind, is lining up the keynote and the Grand Marshal. And one thing I wanted to talk to General Beckett about was if he's got connections to get any static displays to put either on Chestnut Street or on 13th Street as far as military vehicles from the National Guard. I don't know if he, has any magic that he can work on that.
Do you want me to ask him to contact you?
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah,
I will.
if he's got a way to do that. I met with him not too long ago, a couple weeks ago, and other representatives from the Jefferson Barracks Heritage Foundation, which he's a part of, but that it wasn't the right time for the Veterans Day conversation. So they were telling me about their Heritage Foundation. But yeah, it seems like he's got some good pull there, I think, with the active units,
I don't know.
units.
Yeah, a fair number of the transportation company assets get put into the parade, but how much other stuff he has access to, I don't know.
Okay.
But there's no reason you can't ask, and I will
do
do
it.
that.
They
I'll
do a
ask him
pro-
to contact you.
They do a program down at Jefferson Barracks called Touch a Truck. Have you heard of this?
No,
It's wildly popular and it's aimed for kids and they bring out the county parks brings out all their heavy equipment, the big dump trucks and the bulldozers and that stuff. And the kids just get to basically climb all around it and check it out. And, I think they,
wonder how much the insurance for that costs.
I don't know, but that would be so much fun, to do something similar to like that with the military vehicles.
Uh-huh.
And if we parked them on 13th Street or maybe even in the park, and then had the public that could walk up. I mean, I think the military thinks that, when I talked to Fort Leonard, where they were like, well, we don't have anything interesting. And I was like, I don't think it takes a whole lot for the public to be interested in a military vehicle.
I agree.
It could
They
be,
have some fabulous engineer road building equipment, just
Yeah.
amazing. But of course, they'd have to truck it all the way up there and back
Yeah. Yeah.
and take it out of training operations. So
yeah,
It was 1,000 years ago, but back in 2011, when the Marines were here for Marine Week, they had all their equipment set up around Soldiers Memorial, and it was wildly popular.
yeah.
I mean, and they let kids go in and climb on things, and I loved it. Everyone loved it. It was just
Yeah.
really interesting to see the sort of unusual things, but also just the stuff that, like you say, they take for granted.
Yeah. And I think that would be a big draw, for, you can come down and watch the parade with your kids, but then your kids get to check out all this stuff, which they're gonna
Yeah.
love. I think that would help quite a bit with community involvement, participation in the parade and the ceremony and kind of the whole day.
a lot of it depends on how much of a budget they have to
Right.
do that sort of thing, because they have to staff it
Mhm.
and they have to take equipment out of operation, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. So, yeah,
But
you can talk
I
to him
agree.
and see what he thinks and, even if it's one or two, if we start out this year with just, start small and see if it can get some momentum and that'd be cool.
Didn't we bring in a helicopter one time, Linnea?
We used to do that a lot, and then they stopped having those available, and it just,
Yeah, I couldn't get any traction on the
no,
helicopter. I talked to the
that
folks.
used
at
to be
the
something
Marine
they had
Corps
all the
and-
time,
Huh.
from
They just,
long before I was there.
Vernon, said they just flew it right down and landed it right on the corner of 13th and Chestnut, which is just really hard to believe, but
They did.
that would be so cool.
It was really cool. It was really cool when the Marines came in and they actually topped one of the trees with when they landed it, which,
Save the city a little money.
yeah, but it was because, you always looked at the tree, you're like, oh, okay, that's when that
Yeah.
happened. So it's kind of fun for us, but yeah. Any other questions for Mark? Any other comments or new business? Thanks, Mark. This is really informative. This was really a good meeting for at least for learning a lot of stuff that's going on and your new ideas and things about where you're heading and stuff. So thank you very much.
Thank you guys.
Yeah. If there's no other questions or new business, I call someone to make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Judith, okay, second. Okay, Corinne or Freddie?
I don't have anything.
Thank you. Okay. All those in favor of adjourning the May 16th, 2024 Soldiers Memorial Commission meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Any abstentions? No. Okay, it's 3:46 and the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.